Hi everybody. This is gonna be like a saxophone technique video. I had a student today that asked me the question that every music teacher just desires to be asked every day. The student said to me, Mr. Loach, do you have any tips for making a better sound? It's like, phew, my mind is blown. I mean, I wish every student would ask this. He was so aware that he wants a better sound, and he actually makes a pretty good sound now, saxophone player. But I was showing him, it came to mind, this exercise that I learned from Tony Salicandro, actually, who is another just phenomenal person, but teacher in the Philadelphia area here. Great player, great teacher, and has a lot of like these really cool teaching things that he does with saxophone players to get better sounds. And here's the exercise that I was showing this student that is an exercise I learned from Tony. I never studied with Tony, but I hung out with Tony a bunch of times, and we would talk about stuff, and he was showing me this exercise. So here it is. These notes, if I start on the middle C, so those notes, I just played them without the octave key, because these notes here don't have the octave key. But Tony's exercise was to play those notes, but to use the octave key and force the sound down. So for example, if I put my octave key down, when I'm fingering that C, it's gonna come up a higher octave, because that's the whole point of the octave key. No octave key, octave key. But now, what Tony was saying is, put the octave key down, but play the lower sound. So now I'm going to put the octave key down and play that note. It's a really ugly sound, but it requires you to be able to get that sound, that octave, requires you to open up your throat and really relax all of this. So the idea is that you're able to play as many notes as possible. I can get down to kind of like an E down here, but with the octave key down. So here we go. I'm going to open up real big. Yeah, I can't get much lower than an E without having to like subtone. But after I do the exercise, it's almost as if like I was running with ankle weights, and then you take the ankle weights off, and then you have this feeling of like everything's lighter, because now I'm used to opening my throat. And everything is more open. So it's an exercise you could try. In the beginning stages, it's gonna feel like this. It's gonna be relatively frustrating. You're gonna put that octave key down, and it's gonna come out. It really requires you, sorry about that, but it requires you to really open your throat to get that lower octave. But then when this becomes the norm, now you're gonna have this much more open sound. The instrument's gonna ring a lot more, there's gonna be a lot more color. And the way I like to describe it to students is, if this is your sound, a lot of times you're only playing up in the top part of your sound because your throat's all closed off, kind of sound. But once you start opening, and this exercise helps you, now you get all of this part of the sound, which then takes it from this, that pinched kind of sound, to now open. So maybe that exercise will help you. It's a hard one. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a difficult one. It took me a while to be able to play this octave with the octave key down. Like to be able to play that note with the octave key down. It is difficult, but if you can do it, it's going to help your tone. All right, there you go. Hope it helps.